Hello guys, this is Red Kool-Aid here. I am bringing you a video about Apex weapons and specifically what's the news when you're trying to learn or transfer from console to PC about which guns are the best. So from here, I was a plat player on the Xbox One back in Season 4 before they had cross-platform, and I had switched over to PC and I just was not having success because I'm not used to the mouse and keyboard. So moving on from that, in this video, I'm going to talk to you about what guns to use and what guns not to use if you're a beginner or if you're just not playing up to the way you feel like you should be playing, like you are in other games. And I will be giving you tips and tricks on which weapons to use and depending on your playstyle. So let's go ahead and hop right on into the Mozambique.
The Mozambique, as you know, is a pistol shotgun combo. I would consider it one of the worst guns in the game, mainly because of the short range is just okay. It has no medium or long range. I mean, passing the lucky shot or two. If you're good with it, early on you might be able to kill an opponent with a clip or maybe two. It really depends on how you're hitting your shots. From my experience up close with it, I'm looking at personally around a 40% hit rate, maybe 30, depending on how good the movement is of the other player. And with that hit rate, I mean, you're not doing a lot of damage. So almost, if they have any other gun, they're probably going to beat you. I mean, besides the P2020, but we'll get to that later. So you're going to find that shooting targets past 20 meters or so is going to be quite difficult for you. As you can see on the screen now, it's like I'm hitting the target from like 10 yards away and it's doing nothing. Like headshotting for 7, and it's a shotgun, mind you. Alright, so next we're moving on to the EVA 8 shotgun. EVA 8 is a really good weapon. It has a large magazine, it fires fairly quickly, and it does massive damage up close. It even has a decent mid-range, so if you're like 30 to 40 meters away, you can still do decent damage with this gun. It's not going to slow you down at all. I would highly suggest this for anyone starting out with Apex or has a hard time hitting their shotgun shots, as it does give you that extra security and it does reload very quickly. And as you can see here, you don't even need the whole clip to kill people. Like these minion, I mean, what do you call it, dummies, they have full purple armor. So full purple armor and you're still killing them easily with a whole clip. Even at long range, you can sometimes hit a lucky shot. I mean, given that target's like 4 times bigger than a player, but you can see how it compares in contrast to the Mozambique. 50 damage, yeah. And moving on to the Massive. The Massive, it lives up to the hype of its name. It hits for massive amounts of damage. It has a good magazine holding up to 6, and it has a really good fire rate. It has a really great spread, so hitting targets close range and mid range is very good. As you can see here, you can pretty much hit whatever you want with it. I mean, at this range, you can kind of see inconsistencies in the damage, but the spread is normally pretty consistent as it normally fires in a straight line. Hitting long range shots with this weapon is possible, not recommended, but it definitely is possible. Up close, you see we're doing 128 damage per headshot, and it's getting really, really good damage. Alright, so, not sure exactly what I'm doing here, just grabbing some armor, but yeah, pretty much you're blowing things up. You're wrecking kids with this weapon. There are some downsides. It's really slow to reload, and it's kind of... And if you are going into a gunfight, make sure you are reloaded. And this is one of those weapons you really want to take your time on, or you will end up messing up and firing all your all your shots from your clip. And reloading mid-fight is pretty much death with this gun. Alright, moving on to the light machine guns, specifically the RE45. The RE45 is a great gun for spray and pray up close. That's about all it's good for. So it has a larger magazine. I mean, it's 16 for a pistol, which isn't that bad compared to other games. So you can see that you're just spraying, and crouching with this gun and hit firing is probably the best way to go about it. Short range, I wouldn't really recommend this gun for anyone starting out unless you just have no other gun or maybe a P2020, but we'll get to that later. Mid-range, you're missing a lot of shots with it. You can one-clip someone with this weapon, as I'm trying to demonstrate here. So if you can one-clip pretty much any person in the game with this weapon. I'm not sure about red armor, but I imagine you could, because I have an extra bullet there, and it did more than the concealed damage. You can see, even like farther away, we can hit most of our targets, but this gun really does get inconsistent past the 35 to 40 meter range. And I guess you can tap the trigger for longer range shots, but you're probably just going to die to anyone with this solo. I wouldn't recommend holding onto this weapon though. Probably trade it out for something a little bit more damage, or something with a little bit more magazines in the clip, a higher caliber weapon, but early on you can't get much better. Yeah, and you can kind of see, like, normally you just bring someone with this gun early on and spray them and then try to punch them down for the death before they have a chance to reload on you. Okay, moving on to the P2020. The P2020, in my opinion, is the worst weapon. While if you do take your time and you can hit every single bullet, this gun does have pretty good potential. But in reality is, when you're clicking super fast on your mouse or controller, your aim is going to be off. So this really is a gun if there is no other gun. Like, this is better than your fist, but not by much. Well, I guess by a fair decent amount. Although with this gun versus the other pistols in the group is that this gun does have the capability of hitting long-range shots fairly consistently, depending on the right user. But if you're not doing very good in the Apex games, or you're just having bad aim, or you're just not very good, just stay away from this weapon. There's a lot other more resourceful guns. There's just better guns. This is the lowest caliber of guns, and every game needs a worse gun, and this is it. Let's just move on to the R301. The R301 Carbine is probably the best gun in the game. While it does lack in overall magazine, if you do get the extended mags for it, it does make this gun a lot better. But you're doing a pretty good amount of damage with a low recoil weapon. That's really good to swap on targets. It's really good in close, mid, and good at long range weapons. I mean, this is the first one that we talked about so far that's actually really good at long range. If you're skilled at this weapon, you can hit targets 200, 300 meters away fairly consistently. I wouldn't expect you to down anyone from that distance, but you can definitely make them use their shields and heals for this. Yeah, this is a really good weapon. We can sit here and watch it. Like, you pretty much can one clip anyone by doing this right. So I would highly suggest using the single fire functionality of this weapon, though. The single fire functionality gives you that long range control. So if you're hitting targets from 200, 300 meters away, single shot mode will help you out. Or if you're just not very good at fully automatic weapons, you pick up R301, you tap the B button, you're good to go. Alright, let's move on to the R99, right? Yeah, the R99. The R99 is probably the most spray and pray gun there is in this game. Super high fire rate, a medium-sized clip holding, and with practice, this gun is definitely the best close-range weapon, in my opinion. Past the shotgun, I mean, you can get past the shotgun. But yeah, this is the best SMG for me personally. But with that being said, it does take a long time to get used to it. Getting used to this gun in game with its high fire rate and medium to high recoil does mean that going fully auto at any amount of distance for this gun will be challenging, and you will miss most of your shots with it. Long range, you're not going to hit too many long range shots. You can, but it's not meant for that. Also, side note, pick up as much ammo as humanly possible for this gun, because it is going to use up all your ammo. As you can see, you go through about a clip in about a second or two. This is perfect for running in there with Bangalore, his smokes, and just spraying and praying that enemy team dead. For sure, if you're in a clutch situation, this gun does have clutch potential. If you start doming opponents, it's pretty good. Okay, so moving on to the alternator. The alternator is a really good gun for short to medium range. You could probably get away with using this gun as a main weapon, although it does get outclassed by like the R301 and the other assault rifles and SMGs like the R99 and Volt. Past that though, it's a fairly strong gun. If you found this early on, I'll definitely pick this up. And some people really find that their shot is very accurate with this gun. I find my shots to be a little bit sporadic. But as far as like a noob gun, if you had to choose between an RE45 and an alternator, you pretty much always want to pick the alternator. You can see that you can hit shots at long range with it. I wouldn't count on this in a real game. This is the training tool, but like I mean, if the guy says he's like 15 health left, you know, then I would try to get a shot off if you don't have any other ammo. But as far as this being classified as a great gun, I wouldn't go that far. It's definitely an okay to good gun, and up close it can be devastating. Alright, we'll move on to the next gun shortly, but just look at the hip fire on this thing. So medium range, you definitely have to aim in for it, like most weapons. You can see it does 15 damage and 24 for headshots, which is pretty solid. Alright, so let's move on to the G7. Personally, one of my favorite guns. I like to bang this gun out. 34 for body shot, 94 for headshot. It's single fire, semi-automatic. It has 10 bullets in the magazine, which is pretty good. But getting a light mag for this weapon is pretty much essential, as it gives you a 50% increase in bullets, which puts you at 15. So you have 15 bullets if you hit a light mag. You can see long range, no problem for this gun. This gun excels in medium to long range. Up close, it has the drawback of being semi-automatic, but it's definitely better than the P2020 up close. Normally, if you find yourself in a close gunfight with this gun, you probably just want to hit fire and just spray as fast as your fingers can push. But medium range, you pretty much can bang out anyone from long range. I mean, excluding like Rapers and sniper rifles and shotguns. We'll get to that later. But yeah, here's me showing you the 15. So yeah, you can put out some serious damage if you find a team that's bunched up in close corners or window peeking. You can highly punish with this gun. I would highly recommend this gun to anyone that can aim good with the first 2 or 3 bullets, because you're normally only going to single or double fire this weapon. Yeah, so let's just move on to the Volt. So the Volt is becoming one of the most used SMGs. When I first started playing, this gun wasn't out, but it was introduced. So here we have it. The Volt, it starts off with 19 clips. You have the energy extendo mags. There's some more bullets in that, but 19 bullets, and it's not terribly fast fire rate, and it doesn't have all that much recoil, but it seems like the recoil is more left to right than most guns, as you can see here. You can see my aim going left and right, which can be a drawback. Long range, you can hit shots, but I wouldn't bank on it. To the Devotion. So, the Devotion is a really good gun, and it can put out a crazy amount of damage when in the right hands. Although with the slow wind up of this, and then when it does get wound up, the recoil of this weapon really gets crazy. So I wouldn't suggest this to any beginners or people trying to improve their game. Some people like it up close. It's alright if you can start winding it up before you get across the corner. But for the most part, it is a LMG. Medium range is kind of its bread and butter. As you can, closer to medium range, you can hit most of your shots fairly consistently. The problem with this gun is it eats through ammo, and if you go fully automatic, and it's not very good if you single fire. Yeah, so past that, you can kind of see hitting long range shots are really big, pretty much a hard struggle, but it comes with the nature. This gun definitely is better than a lot of other weapons, though. I mean, if you're not really good at aiming, this gun's for you. Alright, let's move on to one of my favorite energy weapons, and one I recommend the least. This is the Havoc. The Havoc is a really good weapon, medium to, I would even say, longer range, but it does have a heavy recoil, and since it does have a kind of a charging up time where you have to wait before the first bullet is shot, so you can be waiting close to a second for this thing to actually shoot the bullets. Pretty good weapon though, wouldn't recommend it for beginners. The L-Star is probably my most hated weapon. A lot of people say it's really good at close, and you can fire pretty much infinite amount of bullets. As you can see, the warm-up bar on the right there is pretty good. Don't let it get into the red, and you can fire without ever having to reload. Downside is this thing eats through ammo, and aiming again is probably has the worst recoil for me personally in the game. I avoid this weapon at all costs. But if you do happen to find yourself with it, you can get some pretty decent damage if you start hitting your shots. But I wouldn't trust this thing in a long range gunfight. For sure wouldn't trust it in an in-game battle. Alright, let's move on to one of the last pistols, which is, I think it is the last pistol, which is the Wingman. One of the only heavy pistol, heavy ammo pistol. It hits for 45 in the body and domes people for 90 in the head. This thing is a beast. Like, there's nothing else said. If you have great aim, and you can fire that aim reliably, it's a really good gun. I think this gun has one of the highest potentials in the game. But with that being said, I wouldn't recommend this for beginner or people who are just not good at aiming, because if you miss your shots with this weapon, you will die. You only have 5 to 8 bullets, and it's just not really worth it if you're not hitting your shot. So, would recommend for anyone with a higher skill, but I would not recommend this pretty much for anyone up under. If you're gold or below, I would not recommend this weapon. I mean, if you do good with it, you do good with it, but for my experiences, people at lower rankings do not use this gun very effectively, and you will miss most of your shots with this weapon if you're not on point. Let's move on to the Spitfire. The Spitfire is, I want to say, my favorite LMG in this game. It hits for a buttload of damage. It has a huge magazine. Even this the stock, no extendo mag. It's 35 bullets. The recoil from close to medium range is manageable, which is great. This gun is great for beginners as long as you're good at looting and getting ammo. If you do not have a lot of ammo, I would suggest one of the other heavy guns, because this thing chews through ammo. Hemlock. The Hemlock is a 3-round burst, similar to the M16 in real life. It does a lot of damage. You can see like 35, 15, 70 in the head. I don't think that's right. But you can see it's doing 20 damage plus, and it knocks down targets. Past that, this gun's good with long range. It's great medium range, and up close, it leaves a little bit to be desired, but it's definitely not the worst. Like, it's definitely, I'll give it a solid C up close. So if you like 3-round burst weapons, then you're pretty good. This gun is pretty good. You can turn this thing into single fire mode to get that pinpoint accuracy if you would like to. But yeah, you can kind of see this detail stuff right here, and you can melt through people no matter what. So this gun is great. I would say it's good for beginners. I wouldn't say it's great for beginners because this thing does have only 6 bursts in it. And if you miss 2 of your bursts, chances are you can't kill the opponent in time, and you have to spend time reloading. Past that though, it's a pretty good gun. I personally don't like it because I'm just not good at these 3-round bursts. You want to kind of aim for center mass. Flatline is probably one of my more favorite assault rifles right behind the R301. It hits for a ton. It's pretty good up close. You can hit fire, you can aim in with it, it doesn't matter. This gun has good medium range, and in the right hands it can be good with a 2-4 scope. It can be good long range, so you can get some good amount of damage with long range with this weapon. This gun is pretty good for beginners. It's fully automatic with medium recoil, so you can get used to this gun. Its recoil is pretty much standard recoil. There's nothing special about that. But it's a solid weapon. It's just overall. I'll give this weapon a B plus. This overall, you can't beat it. You just kind of see me just getting some few shots in. You kind of see the recoil. All right. So let's move on to the sniper rifles. We're gonna start off with the Sentinel. In my opinion, the Sentinel is probably, depending on who's using it, it's the second to worst. While it does do a healthy amount of damage, you see even body shots doing 70, or headshots doing 40, so if someone has no armor, you down them immediately if you get a headshot. So they're doing massive amounts of damage. The problem is look at that, like, that bolt action. So that bolt action right there is going to kill you. It really hinders your anywhere into a medium to close range gunfight. You're pretty screwed with this weapon because you do just enough damage to hurt them severely, but not enough damage to kill them, which will get you killed. But if you get a 6 or 8 pound scope on this and you're playing long range, this gun has an opportunity to be devastating. But let's move right on into the charge rifle. This thing puts a good amount of poke damage. I wouldn't say necessarily it's good for killing, but if you're trying to waste people's heals or just kind of annoy your target, if you land all the ticks on this weapon, though, it does insane damage. Like you saw 112 there, and it's poking you the whole time. So you don't have to be perfect accurate with this gun. So it takes like the accuracy part out of sniping, so you can't do damage without being accurate 100% of the time, which is good. I don't think this gun has bullet drop. I have to do some research with that, but I'm pretty sure it doesn't have bullet drop. And it's overall a solid gun. I never picked this gun up though, and I wouldn't recommend it for beginners. This is more something you want to use if you're just kind of just playing around. If you're trying to get better at the game, I wouldn't really use this gun too much. I do see it in competitive from time to time, but I mean, it's just not that good of a weapon per se. I would much rather have a new person or someone having trouble aiming on a different weapon. The longbow. Longbow is like the least damage doing sniper rifle, but it's also semi-automatic, so you see the time in between shots is greatly reduced, and this gun is pretty good actually in the early game. So if you land on someone, you pick up a longbow, you can literally just shoot them and punch them to death. So if you hit them in the head, well, if you hit them in the head, they die, but if you hit them in the stomach, it's 55 damage. That's 2 melees and they die. So that's really good from this weapon. Mid to late game, you don't really see a lot of people use it that much. And I have to say, I don't use it a lot myself, but if you're getting into mid to long range gunfight with a scope on this, it's probably going to work out in your favor. Although, you have to watch out for the other, like the better sniper rifles. Even like the G7 does similar amount of damage. Okay, moving on to one of my favorite sniper rifles, the triple take. The triple take right here shoots, I think it's 3 bullets, and each bullet does damage. When you aim in, it charges and gets a closer spread, so it's kind of like a sniper shotgun type of thing. This gun has a significant amount of bullet drop though compared to the other sniper rifles, or maybe that's just how I feel, but you can do crazy amount of damage, and you have a chance to actually pepper a whole team with this, which is pretty dope. And if you get a charged in headshot, it's 138, which is pretty good. So if you take all that into account, it's a really good overall sniper rifle. Up close, you can do some damage with it. Um, there isn't a whole lot else to say about this weapon. It's an overall, if you want to play a sniper and you're new to the game, this sniper is very good. It's more forgivable than most of the other sniper rifles, or all the other sniper rifles. And the fact is, you can get damage done if you're a little bit off target, which is great, especially if you're not aiming perfectly straight. Whether or not you just switch from console to PC, or you're just playing shooter for the first time, or you're just new to the game. This game does have a significant amount of bullet drop compared to something like Call of Duty, so you have to take that into consideration. But most veterans of the games, like Battlefield or like any other battle royale game, should be pretty good to go. Now let's move on to our fifth sniper rifle, the Peacekeeper. I'm joking, guys. This thing's a shotgun, but if you aim it long enough, it's pretty much a sniper rifle. This gun can only be found in crates. It's the same as all the other red items in the game. All the red weapons in this game is crate only. But this thing, if you're up close, it's a monster. It's absolutely devastating. You get a fully charged headshot, or you just hit fire at decent range from it. It's doing massive amounts of damage. If you aim in, this gun's good at medium range, actually. Weird saying that. This shotgun's good at medium range. And it can hit 90 to 100 damage long range shots, which is incredible. Let's just go ahead and move on. The Prowler. Oh my god, this gun has came a long way. So the Prowler SMG is a 5-round burst with a fully automatic mode, and as far as I can tell, man, this gun is insane. You melt kids with this gun. If you do get an opportunity, drop whatever you have. If it's like late game, pick it up. I prefer it on full auto. That's just my personality, but you can shred people just as easy with a 5-round burst. Close range, good. Medium range, great. Long range, it's okay. It works. It's an SMG, but long range, it works. 5-round burst it, you're bound to hit one of them. It does good damage. Have to be careful though, this thing is limited on ammo. And finally, our last gun. This is the Kraber. If you get a headshot, you kill them. No shit. Like, it doesn't matter what they have. It could be a Gibby aimed in with a shield up with red armor, full health. Full armor. And you shoot them in the head, people will fall. 145 to the body. 116 in some areas. Hip fire with this gun is amazing. Look at this. Like, I'm about to just dump it. This is first try. I didn't set this up. That's first try. And then again, I got a headshot on that last one. So look at this. So I mean, it's not completely reliable, but it's pretty good. So you get a great zoom, and it works in. So this is my tutorial. Well, not really a tutorial, but in short, right? If you're a new player and you're looking for great guns, take what I said to heart about all these guns, and if you find one that you like, that's amazing. Please use it. But if you're looking for my advice for guns to pick up if you're new or trying to get better, the R301, any of the legendary weapons, the Flatline is great, the R9 if you're a running gunner, the G7 Scout if you like sit back and, you know, getting headshots. If you're trying to use a sniper, try to get the triple take. If you want a lot of bullets and fully automatic, if you're trying to run an LMG basically, use the Spitfire. It's great. You get a lot of bullets with it. It's good to go. Shotguns, you want to try to stick to the EVA 8 or the Massive or the Peacekeeper if you can get your hands on it. But that is Oh, and the Prowler. Pretty much, yeah. Let's think a second. Sorry, guys. The Volt is really good. If you stick to those weapons and you put in the time and effort and master those weapons, those guns can carry you to any rank you want to get in. Of course, they're all situational, and there's a lot more to this game than just shooting a weapon. Um, but we'll get to those in later videos. But this is my outro, I guess. I'll see y'all guys.